Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'm the chairman of this ad hoc committee. My name is Councilman Don Taylor. It is just after 6 o'clock on Monday, the 12th of March. We're meeting in the third floor council room at City Hall, 155 Deer Hill Avenue in Danbury. Members of the committee tonight are Mr. Dwayne Perkins, Mr. Michael Haddad. I see we also have ex officio Mr. Darcy, who is a new council member with us tonight. Members from the city, we have Les Pinter, who is Corporation Counsel. We have Dennis Alpern, Director of Planning. We have Colleen LaHood, Tax Assessor, and we have Scott Ferguson, who is a tax collector. We also have the applicant, Mr. Mulligan, and members of the public here tonight. The charge of this committee this evening is to deal with the issue, from the applicant, Mr. Mulligan, for regarding sale of land on Broad Street. I'd like to note that we do have the planning director here. We have a letter from the Planning Commission dated January 10th, 2012. And the planning, at the January 4th, 2012 meeting, Planning Commission made a motion to give a negative recommendation because this is inconsistent with the plan of conservation and development. The motion was seconded and passed unanimously. I also like to make a note that I was in the tax assessor's office today, and it appears that there is outstanding property taxes dating back from 2007 on this property in the amount of $1,779.68. We have that report. I'd like to ask the relevant department heads to make whatever comments they have. I'd like to start with Mr. Alpern first and see what he has to say.
Well, you got the Planning Commission's recommendation. We looked at this, and the parcel is on it's on actually East Broad Street, which is a paper road. It's undeveloped. It does have a driveway leading to one of the homes that front on Broad, but it doesn't go all the way through. And it's to the rear of 3 residential lots. We simply can't find any use for it for the city. What would the city use it for? That is our chief concern, and I can't answer that, but obviously you could put a small park there, but would you want to? And that's the question. You probably have to improve the road as well as put in whatever facilities you'd want. It's a small lot, and maintain it.
Thank you, Mr. Pinter.
Some of the information has already been put out, Mr. Chairman. To the extent that I can advise you on the procedure, if this committee recommends one thing or another, that would have to be charged back to the City Council. The Council will then consider it. If the committee recommended the purchase of the property, then it is recommended that you would obtain an appraisal, you'd offset for the taxes, and then if you decided to purchase the property, then you would agree on that price that way. According to what Dennis I think you mentioned it, you mentioned it, the planning commission issues a negative recommendation. That means if you do decide to recommend against that, you would need a higher vote count of the council, as you know, to go against that report. There's nothing to prevent the council from purchasing the property, given that 2/3 vote that's required. If you decide to do that, you have to have some record indication of why you overrode the planning commission's report and what the benefits that the committee sees to purchase the property. Other than that, the council has the authority to go either way on this issue, depending upon its best judgment.
Thank you, Wes.
Thanks.
Scott?
I don't really have anything to add other than to confirm the tax balance that's what up there.
Okay. Yeah, Colleen?
I just have that it's 0.17 acres, and like Dennis said, it is on a paper road. And it's actually up to you guys as to
Okay.
what you want to do.
Do I have any comments from the members of the committee? Yeah, Mr. Perkins?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to maybe Mr. Alpern.
Yes.
You mentioned some difficulties with the land. Can you just briefly tell us what were some of the problems with that land as far as, I guess, buildability or non-buildability?
You could put a house on it. We have a provision in our zoning regulations that even though it may not meet some of the area and bulk requirements of the zoning, of that particular zone, we can't prevent somebody from developing property. So yes, you can put a house on it. Not an ideal site, but you could. And you'd also, I would imagine the engineering department would require some kind of hard surface drive into that.
Thank you. One follow-up question.
Yes, sir.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to, I'm not even sure. What year was this land purchased? When was the auction?
2006, I believe.
Wait a minute. I have.
It's
Actually,
1996.
Oh, 96, yeah, I'm sorry, 96, not 2006.
1996.
Actually, 1997.
It was December 1996, so it probably turned up on the
Okay.
records at the short time.
So 15 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Haddad?
I don't have any questions at all.
Ex officio? Have anything to say?
Thank you.
Mr. Mulligan, would you like to give us your presentation?
I'd love to, Mr. Taylor. I thank you for the audience and the members here of the committee. I appreciate you giving me this time. And I'll start just by saying I don't believe it is buildable lot. But let me tell you my story. I could do it in about 5 minutes. You can laugh if you want, and you can cry if you want. I won't hold it against anyone. After I got divorced, I was living in a one-room apartment. I saved up a bunch of money. I saw an ad in the paper that they were auctioning houses in Danbury. So I went around to all the houses and I looked at them. Some of them were obviously beyond my means. And then I went to Broad Street and I didn't have an address. I looked, there were little houses, but I didn't see what house it was. So I went to the auction. All the other houses went for 35, 50, 75. They came to that lot. I thought it was a house. And I started bidding on it with another guy. So there's somebody bidding on it with me, and I went up to $9,000, and I got it. So I was like, wow. I went up to the lawyer at the front, tall, balding guy, I don't know his name. I pulled $9,000 out of my sock, and I gave it to him. So he was like, great, okay. So I ran down to the planning zone, wherever, all excited. I said to the lady, where's my house? Where's my house? And she showed me, she goes, it's not a house, it's a lot. So I just died. I went back there that day with the papers in hand. I walked down that paper road, which had trucks all over it. On my left were 2 pit bulls staked to the ground. I get to the back. It's not only, buried in the back, it's on a hill going down. So that's the first description. Secondly, I said, let me try to do the lemonade thing out of this. In the zoning room, I met a guy named Sid Rapp. and paid him $600 to survey it. So I did my diligence, he put the little orange posts in all four corners. I did further research, can I put up a shed there? No, zoned for one family only. Then I said, well, the septic is, it's up on the street. Up on the street. They said to me, we don't pump up, you can't pump up, septic has to go down. So, okay, so I said, let me figure this out. I went to Ralph Gallagher, local guy,
Yep.
paid him $800 not to do a septic, and this is over the course of years. This didn't happen that week. This is 5 years. I had been paying the 300-something bucks a year. Ralph said, look, I can, no one's gonna let you pump up. If you wanna go down, you're gonna have to either go 150 yards into the Still River Glen Co-op, or you're gonna have to go way across the field to the Danbury Square Box Company. So he goes, all I can offer you for this lot is first you're gonna have to level it a little bit, then we're gonna build a mound system. And he goes, okay, we'll do the mound system, and this is his survey after I commissioned him. He said it's gonna take so much of the 50 by 150 that the house you're gonna put there is gonna be a minute 2-family, 1-toilet house to coordinate with that
Do
situation.
you mean 2-bedroom? No.
Two bedroom, 1-toilet
Okay.
type house.
Yep.
So, all right, so we just let that go for another year or two. So I had the idea, let me try and sell it. So I met a realtor, I called her up, her name was Roberta Allen. I don't know if anybody knows her, but she's in Prudential. She looked at it with me, she said she'll try and do it. I explained my story with her about how we have a septic issue. And she said, well, it happens that my father was the owner of Danbury Square Box Company. And she went to approach him because what they did was they allowed the Still River Glen people, when they were building their complex, tie in, thank you, for tie into the head that's over that, by that box company. So she thought she had a way to get back in there, but apparently he wasn't working there, he was just like ex officio or something. So they weren't gonna go 150 yards that way. She tried to contact the members, that's an association that's Still River Glen. Tried to contact the association, but it turns out the members of the association were one of the builders and the lawyer for the builder. So she thought it was a temporary thing that was put together to build the houses, because they're not like touching, they're apart. So maybe they don't need a condo board or whatever it is. So another year goes by, she said, look, nobody's looking at this, I'm not getting any luck. I said, well, let me go to an engineer and find out what the deal is on the paper road. I don't remember his name, he never charged me, we just had a consultation in his office. I showed him the topo, I showed him the plan. He said, what the town's gonna want you to do, and you have a better drawing here, is that in this here, this is all dirt, and right now, I drove by here coming up, it's all trucks in here. I would have to build, not a driveway, but a road that would, the engineer. He said,
City engineer?
he said, not only do I have to build a road because it's a hill,
The city engineer?
no.
Okay.
It is-
Private individual.
I would have to spend thousands of dollars for this guy to move forward. I'm just doing preliminary research. He said because this goes downhill, that we gotta put a rain drain over here, and we gotta distribute the water. Then, I gotta have another little driveway going over. So it suddenly, he told me the estimated cost to get that work done, the gravel, the excavation would be about $50,000. Add that with the septic mound, add that with the miniature house you would build, you're at a cost of just preparing the land at about, $125,000 before you even put a house on it. And if you looked at this neighborhood, it's a couple wheels short of a trailer park. It doesn't make sense. So a builder wouldn't buy it. I guess under penalty of my decision, I could spend the rest of my life trying to make a house there. But it's really, in my opinion, my studied opinion, this is unbuildable. Now, when I bought it for $9,000 from the city, somebody a couple months later called me up because he wanted to thank me for the $5,000 he got. The city only took $4,000 that he owed, and they gave this guy $5,000. So So he called me up elated saying, I couldn't do anything with that lot. I want to thank you for buying it. I was getting the messages in the mail, it was making me feel guilty, I couldn't pay it. And now all of a sudden, here I am 12 years later, I'm in this guy's position. So, this is an unbuildable lot that's got a bad karma to it, that what are we going to just hook it to me till I die, and then what's somebody going to do? I called my son, he's a plumber in Richfield. I said, if they let me put a shed on it, do you want it to put a shed on it? He goes, Dad, I can't afford to put a road back there. So, that's kind of in a nutshell, my path. This is what I've been doing with this. So now the financial, I teach one class at a local college, Purchase. I'm a graphic designer. I am not a man of any high means. Average income is $40,000 a year. I had to start cutting my losses. I tried very, very hard to make this work. I thought I was buying a home to live in to get out of my one-room apartment after my divorce. I took the $9 grand I scratched together and I threw it in the garbage, and a couple grand after that. So that's my story, and if you think it's buildable, I'll give it to you for free.
I didn't say it was buildable. In terms of
Hold on
zoning,
one second.
just in terms of zoning.
Okay.
Because I think, in a way, I appreciate you all listening to this story of woe. You can go home and rest easy, you're not me. But in a way, when I look at this whole thing, I feel like kind of the city auctioned me off a lot that's unbuildable. I'm not blaming you guys, you probably, none of you were even here. This was a whole different bunch of people, but, what's a fellow to do,
I'm sorry, through the chair.
That's okay, Mr. Alter? Yep.
Have you thought about getting rid of it by cutting it up into 3 sections?
That was my next question.
I wrote letters to all 3 of these. I went down, I went through the car, I got their names and addresses. 2 people called me and said, hey, you want to buy my property? And I was like, oh, God. 1 person didn't respond, and 2 people were like, hey, you want to buy something? Buy mine. And I was like, oh, God. So I said, it's right in back here. He said, it's on a hill. So I had a very bad reaction trying to do that. Now, I don't know if the same people are there. I mean, maybe they've gentrified away or something. But, I kind of put this away, I guess, 5 years ago mentally, or 4 years ago, just to, because it's been an albatross. But I appreciate you mentioning that, but I did try that.
Anyone else have any comments?
Did you ever think of buying it? The
Who?
guy's house.
Well, you gotta remember, for $9,000, I'd live on that neighborhood,
Yeah, okay.
all right?
Okay.
But not for 50 or 60 or,
Whatever. Yeah.
it's, and, I'm not asking you to pay me for it, just get it off my back. I feel like, the way I read the letter, when I got the last letter that the other guy was crying about for years, I read it and I said, they're gonna attach my miserable salary, they're gonna put they're gonna go into my bank account, take my savings. I'm like, that seems so punitive, and I just wanna get that hook out of me, just throw me back in the stream.
Well, then, are you offering to give it back to the city or sell it back to the city?
I wanna get rid of it. If you want it, you can have it. I just don't, I can't pay the taxes, I can't afford to develop it. It's, if in the goodness of your heart, and maybe I've touched your hearts, or your humor bone, if you want to give me a couple dollars, I would hardly say no. But I paid $9,000 for it, and I got a couple thousand, in research into it.
Anyone else have any comments? Mr. Perkins?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I mean, what if we were just entertaining the thought of taking it back for free? I mean, there still would be an outstanding tax bill on it.
Well, the free would have to include the tax, you can't,
Okay.
I mean, I'm not polishing diamonds in my spare time, you can follow me home.
Anyone else? I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Haddad?
I'd like to make a motion to reject taking this back from Mr.
Mulligan, and, because I don't feel that it's in the best interest of the city to take this back.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, sorry, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. The motion carries. Sorry, Mr. Mulligan, we denied your petition.
So where do I go from here?
Do I have, Les, can you give him any guidance?
Well, you have to try to find you another buyer. That's as you've been doing already. If you end up finding no buyer, then eventually there'll be some remedy to collect the taxes, and that could be a tax sale or some other avenue.
You're gonna sell that property?
I'm sorry, I meant to say tax lien that would be sold, for example, and then
So
somebody
you
would
put a
try to-
lien on my house now to recover for this thing?
Right.
Is that fair? I mean, am I crazy or?
Not a lien, no, a lien on this property.
Well, take the property. I just don't want you to follow me home. I don't want to wake up in the night and see Danbury collectors there telling me I'm gonna lose, the few sticks I have at home because of this. But isn't that irresponsible of this board to do that? To sell an unbuildable lot twice in a row, 3 times in a row?
Les, can I, say something? I know we've closed discussion, but I think if we did this, we'd be setting a precedent. I think that anybody who buys a piece of land should do their due diligence. Simply because you were not aware that you thought there was a house on that property, I don't see how that relieves you of the responsibility before that sale to do your homework.
I've been living under that lash for a long time.
But
I did my homework to try to build on the lot.
That's,
But I discovered it's unbuildable, unless you want to put in, $300,000 in a $100,000 neighborhood.
Have you talked at all to these people then?
There's nothing here. This is the land for the Still River Glen. This is their woods. This is all woods, wetlands,
Okay.
and they have beautiful houses
They have
over there.
development over there.
It's a beautiful development. I thought it would increase the value.
Well, I'm wondering if they'd be interested in this, in the sense that if they add this, it increases the size, which would increase the amount of land which they could then possibly get another
Unit.
unit.
I was thinking the same thing.
It's probably worth looking into.
There's
And as well as revisit giving these 3 guys, a piece for a nominal fee to cover some of your engineering costs and your taxes.
Just maybe to sell it back to them, to recoup your taxes on it, divide it by 3 to $1,700 and,
Yeah.
they may be able to take it from you there.
I'm just.
No, I appreciate your
guessing,
help. I just feel there's a little bit of a numbness to the situation.
Feel bad for you, but,
But now, I'm not a lawyer, maybe one of yous are, but are you just gonna take that property? Because you can see I'm giving it to you. Or are you gonna follow me around for the rest of my life, taking little bits and pieces where you can for the taxes? How does this work?
Well, it's not that bad. We're not gonna try to chase you around the world. It's gonna be.
Well, I'm in New York,
It's
I'm not hiding.
it's a process that applies to every property on which there's delinquent taxes. The tax collector's office pursues certain remedies to try to collect the taxes. There's a procedure. It's all lawful. It's all consistent with what everybody does for all properties that have delinquent taxes. Sometimes people pay up, sometimes they can't, sometimes they can't. Sometimes the liens are sold, and then the company that purchases the lien pursues the debt at that point. I think Dennis is exactly right. If you can somehow sell the property for the taxes that you owe, that's probably the best solution. If you can't, then the city defaults to its standard procedures out of our tax office, and those are not that, I won't say they're procedures that are allowed by state law. We don't chase anybody. It's not chasing.
But
It's not.
do you limit yourself to the property that's the taxes are owed on?
It depends. It depends. That's how it starts. That's how it starts. It depends on the size of the debt. It depends on how willing the city or its purchaser of its lien is willing to pursue it. But it could be a foreclosure eventually. It could be something else. So there are remedies, and the remedies, are out there that are lawful remedies.
I understand your dilemma. I wouldn't want it either. I just didn't know. And
I think, Mr. Chairman, back in '86, there was a number of properties that were all disposed this way. These were all surplus properties or delinquent tax properties, and they were put in a basket and sold, if you will, for whatever value people were willing to come up with and bargain for, and that's how it ended up. There was no misdealings or anything. It was just people did their due diligence. They came in, they purchased it, they paid $1, they paid $9,000, they paid whatever it is they paid. And the city just assumed that people came in with some knowledge of what they were purchasing. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't.
$300 a year for taxes on it, it's not, it's not really a big amount of money and everything.
that's why I paid it right up until
Yeah.
2000. I mean, I paid it. I'm not somebody who turns my back on my responsibilities. I lived within the jaws of that stupid decision, and I accepted the responsibility. I kind of thought I was doing due diligence. I looked at the road, and
Why don't you give it to your son?
he doesn't want it. Can he run a plumbing business out of it? Maybe. Who's in charge of zoning it?
You're sitting next to him.
Yeah.
On the other side.
Because, if you can change it up a little, you might talk him into it, He's a good plumber if you need any help.
Don, how about that cell tower they want to put up on Richter, maybe put up over
That's
here?
it.
Keep me in mind, one guy jokingly
Make a lot of
said-
money there then.
Somebody
You would want to
jokingly,
sell it.
somebody jokingly said to me, why don't you sell it to a golfer? Because there's a golf course around here that you gotta be a resident to play at, and then that you could be on the grand list. And I said, that just seemed a little too far-fetched, but to play golf, but, I don't know. Well, thanks for the audience. Do I go now? Is that, all right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Sorry we couldn't be more of help to you.
Well, maybe in the fullness of time, this will work out correctly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Oh,
Have you addressed?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Some of,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Adjourned at 6:30. Meeting to order. My name is Don Taylor. I'm the chairman of this ad hoc. We're meeting today, third floor, in the caucus room, City Hall, 155 Deer Hill Avenue in Danbury. The time is 6:45. I'm the chairman of this commission, this ad hoc. Also, we have members of the committee, Councilman Phil Curran and Councilman Peter Nero. In exficio, we have Council President Joe Cavo and Councilman Steve Darcy. From the city today, we have from the Corporation Counsel's Office, Diane Rosemark. Mr. Brody is not here. From Director of Human Resources, we have Virginia Werner. And we have from the Department of Aging, Joyce Liliendahl. I
Right.
hope I did that well.
Yes, you did.
Who will be presenting tonight.
Maturity works.
For Maturity Works. So, I don't think we have, I don't have any reports to read otherwise than the letter that we received, that all the council members have received, and the flyer. So I think I will defer to, Joyce and let her, present her presentation, and then we'll see what the, members of the committee and the city, representatives have to offer.
Okay. My name is Joyce Leodahl. I represent Maturity Works. We are what we call a CSEP program, which is a senior employment program. We're actually through the Workplace Inc., which is out of Bridgeport. They're the national sponsor, one of the national sponsors. And we're funded through the U.S. Department of Labor and the U.S. Department of Education. The purpose of Maturity Works is to get older workers, 55 and older. They have to qualify for the program based on income, other criteria, is to get them a bridge from work that they want to do to working at host agencies where they can do various assignments. Many have been laid off, dislocated, terminated, what have you, been in industry, government, social services, the whole gamut. And they're looking to re-enter the workforce. Many have been unemployed for at least 6 months, which is one of the criteria. That's when being unemployed. And as I say, what we're looking for the city of Danbury, I got in touch with Scott Deloy back in January. Came, for a visit, explained my program. So what we're looking to do is have Maturity Works participants work at host agencies within the city. Could be I was looking at your, the city of Danbury report. We've had participants at different cities, City of Waterbury, I think, at 2 or 3. But they can work in a variety of departments, doing just administrative work, if it be doing some work with taxes, doing some with accounting. We've had participants work with the WIC program. We've had participants work in senior centers, really the whole gamut. And the purpose of the program is to really bridge the existing skills that they have now, also so they can gain another set of skills to hopefully become gainfully employed again. That's really the purpose of Maturity Works. The value to the city would be that there's no cost to the city as being host agencies. The participants are paid a minimum wage through the grant. They can be at a host agency up to 9 months in a period. How it works is that we get a kind of a job description of what you'd like someone to do. We look at it also as they're doing something for you, but they're also gaining, it's like a training assignment, if you will. They're getting trained in certain things that can make them, again, once they complete their assignment, employable. Some of the host agencies that we've worked with, the participants have been hired on a part-time basis because participants work anywhere from 20 to 30 hours a week. They're paid, as I say, through our program. They're not really an employee of the workplace, they're a trainee of the workplace because their assignments, we're calling them trainee assignments. They're not full-fledged employees, they're not federal employees, nothing like that. It's a training program, and again, they use their existing skills, and this is a bridge to develop new skills so they can become employed. A host of services they can do. It runs the whole gamut. We try to match someone's background with what you're looking for. We don't just say someone wants to do this training assignment, pluck them there. We don't do that. We try to make the match. So the match is with the person, a little bit of their background, and it's a good fit to what that department may be looking for. We have something called maintenance of effort, which means that a participant cannot replace someone who's doing a full-time regular job. Okay. This is in support of someone who's doing a regular budgeted full-time job. It's not to replace them. It's a support type function, if you will. And the goal really is to get people, 55 and older back to work that have been out of work, and through different vehicles to do that. And this is one of the vehicles. So.
Very good, thank you.
Any questions? Let me just hand out, I was going to pass, I don't know if anybody got that, but that's just some general information.
Phil?
Through the chair to Joyce or
Yeah.
maybe even you, Jenny, what about if they got hurt here?
Our program covers workman's compensation. That's covered by us.
And the second question?
Yes, sir.
Jenny, how will the unions react to this?
Well, I think she addressed it as long as it's not,
Ain't budgeted.
yeah, as long as it's not a budgeted position, as long as it's not doing the work of a union position.
Right.
If it's support.
It's support, it's really support.
For a current full-timer,
But
then,
we know how picky they can get.
yes.
That's what I'm about my.
If I may ask a question?
Yes, ma'am?
Yeah.
I know that, I'm not sure if you and Scott Leroy had conversations about what he's looking for in particular.
He didn't say extensively, he said present, at this meeting and kind of go from there.
Because the information he shared with me
Mhm.
would be along the lines of somebody to help with grant writing.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if you have somebody that's, that you would be able to do that. If in fact that is the case, that would not have any
Right.
that would.
I'd be honest with you, I don't have anybody right now, but what we usually do is we get an idea of what host agencies are looking for, different sites are looking for. My colleague Jean, who works as well in Waterbury, will go into the community, recruit, and she'll be on the lookout for someone with that type of background, if that's what a host agency is looking for. So we try to make that match, that, if that's what you're looking for, then we can be on the lookout for someone like that, to do something with the city. I don't have anybody right now, to be honest with you. I don't.
Yes, ma'am?
Yeah.
If in fact that's the case and you have somebody with those skills, what type of training then would you require on behalf of the city?
It really depends on what you would be looking for them to do. We have something called their individual, let me just give you a copy of this, their individual employment plan. And this highlights what they're looking to do in the program, what skills they're looking to obtain. So it's kind of based on what the participant would be looking for. And how come I don't have, oh, here it is. What the participant would be looking for, and what you're looking for. There's a marriage between the two, in the sense of many participants will say they want to learn MS Office 2007. Okay, some have had training in that. Or someone I have a gentleman who's been an accountant, he hasn't done anything with, was it tax accounting, I think is what he wanted to do. That's an example that he wanted the type of work that he wanted to do because he hasn't done it before. So really it's totally based on what your needs are, what the participant's looking to do, because their IEP, their individual employment plan, can be a variety of things. It really depends on their background. I mean, I had one person who had done extensive work in human resources, so wanted to support a human resources function in some capacity. He actually is doing orientations for this host agency for any new employees. So something like that, and as I say, the match is what really makes a difference. But it's such a host of things, I can't say just one particular thing.
Mr. Darrow?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to anyone that would like to answer this question. Well, I guess actually you might be the best person to answer this question.
Okay.
Do Danbury residents get first crack at this if we're trying to put Danbury residents in, let's say this facility here, for example?
The ideal is obviously that we get residents of Danbury who are living here, because we don't want them to travel far. So they're not always residents of Danbury, but if that's a criteria, that's not a problem. We have this program runs in Waterbury, Torrington, and Danbury. It would be unusual to have a Waterbury resident travel to Danbury.
Okay. And if I may?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And I think if I look at the last paragraph in this letter from Scott to the mayor, if someone could address this. I think I understand this last paragraph, but the last phrase in this, it says, but other current funds are used to cover existing expenses associated with the office, the overhead costs, and the consumable supplies. So what I'm looking at is someone comes in here and they will get whatever the minimum wage is paid by you.
Yeah.
But if we needed 2 more rolls of Scotch tape because they were working in the facility, then that's what we would be covering. We're talking about that cost, correct?
Well, there's something, are you talking about in kind?
Well, I'm just trying to understand the last phrase in this. It says, but other current funds that are used to cover existing expenses. What does that mean exactly? I'm not sure. If we're just simply talking, let's say I get the job, you put me here.
Right.
And you pay me a salary.
Mhm.
Then what is this last, you didn't write this.
Yeah, I didn't.
Well, you didn't write this. I'm just trying to get someone to respond to what are these other existing expenses associated? Can someone just explain that?
Existing.
Well, that really isn't, you didn't write the memo, so it's really not addressed to you.
If I can
Anyway.
take a guess, if I may.
Sure, certainly.
One of the things that we were talking about is that I may run this person through our background screening or our drug testing. So I'm assuming that would be our cost as opposed to city agency.
Yeah, we don't do anything like that. We have an intake process where they provide a host of information, but we don't do a background check. So as far as the cost of that, we don't normally pick that cost up, but there's always room. I mean, we haven't been presented with that, to be honest with you.
I think I understand where that phrase is going.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Phil?
Joyce, I have two Chair to Joyce. Now, your agency deals with both private sector and municipal?
We deal with
Municipalities?
just nonprofits, government, and no private sector.
No
No.
private
It's only community service and government, and education. Yeah.
Anything else, Bill?
No, that's it, thank you.
Peter? Diane? I know you have a few issues that you'd like to
Yeah.
address.
Actually, some of the issues that I had flagged, you all discussed here, so workers' comp was one of them, and then the background checks was the other, and I'm just wondering, is there a deadline that Mr. Leroy would have to submit a request? In other words, is there a deadline for receiving this grant? Not grant, I'm
You
sorry.
mean to having a participant?
To having a participant?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so
No,
there's
it's
no
an ongoing
deadline.
program. This has been in existence, CSEP has been in existence over 20 years. Most participants are in the program about 4 years, the ideal being 2, because after they do their assignment, as I say, the goal is to gain new skills so they become employed. Many of the host agencies do, after they finish their 9 months to a year, they do hire them. If not, then they are rotated to another agency. But the usual length of time is 6 months to 12 months that they're on the host site, doing a particular assignment.
All set?
That's all, thank you.
What's your placement rate? Like a ratio of the number of people who go through the program who are ultimately placed in a job. Is that
See, we don't really say it's really placement. You mean after they finish their
right?
subsidized
Who
training?
move on to I think it's a
I
new
would say
career.
the majority of participants, when they do get hired, probably 85% get hired by the host agency.
Good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Mr. Cabo?
Mr. Keller, thank you through you to Joyce. Joyce, do we have any nonprofits that currently have any of your people in them here in Danbury?
As far as I know, yes, we do. I'm just trying to think. American Red Cross at one time, but I know that's no longer.
Right.
We're working with We Care, which is down the street.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think who else that was.
I was just curious how
Yeah.
broad the plan was, and
We focused on, I'll be honest with you, we focused on Waterbury, and now because we have more interested participants in Danbury, we're starting to spread our scope out. And that was one of the reasons for calling to get in touch with Scott, because I understood he had someone in the past many years ago.
okay.
But we want to kind of reinvent that,
Okay.
yeah.
And then if I could,
Yes, sir,
Mr. Keller,
continue, please.
to Ginny Lasco. Ginny, any interference with our Save Volunteer program that you see, or Diane, any interference with our Save program? Because, will we be, I guess if Scott was looking for one specific person for this program, then I understand, but the letter from him was not clear to us that he was looking for one particular person, but
When I met with him, he initially had said he could see using various participants throughout the city
okay.
in different departments, was
Right.
what he.
Currently, Joyce, we have a SAVE program, volunteer program for senior citizens to come and they do a certain number of hours, and in exchange for that, they get a reduction in
In
their
their taxes.
property taxes. And
I think I read it.
so that, it would run, but I could see how if Scott was looking for a particular person, a particular skill set, that you may not be able to find in the same volunteer that he could possibly use, or maybe Susan Tamayo at the senior.
How many
center.
hours do your volunteers usually work? Is there a certain?
Isn't it 900 a
Is
year?
a year?
It's over 600.
600?
Oh, a year, okay.
So,
Anything else, Joe?
no, that's it, Diane, thank you.
Peter?
Sorry to weigh back in here.
That's okay.
Mr. Chairman,
No-
thank you.
No problem.
But from what I've understood, with the different issues that have been raised, the final call, it seems to me, just comes down to what the city chooses to do. For example, if I am someone who wants to work in the SAVE program, I would like to think that before that person gets displaced, by someone else from this program, that consideration will be given to that person, is what I would think. Now, maybe that's a little pie in the sky thinking on my part, but I mean, I think it would come down to the city making the final decision as to who goes where and when you need them and what it's gonna cost and whether or not it's gonna cost us more to have the person here, even though they're being paid, but if we have to pay extra money to have that person here, is that really a good balance for the cities? But I think that comes down to the city making the decision at that point in time. So having said that, and saying that that's kind of my thinking and my frame of mind, I just would like to put that on the table. Thank you.
Thank you.
John, one more question to Jenny. Do we turn anybody away from, in other words, do we have people waiting in line to get into the SAFER program?
I'm not that familiar. It's run out of the mayor's office with PJ. So
Joe, do you know?
I don't know if they have a waiting list, no, I know that there's city volunteers throughout the city in almost every different department. I shouldn't say, I don't know how many are exactly in City Hall. I know one works for Jeannie. I know that somebody works at the fire department. I know that somebody works at the police department. So I would say that, you know, they are spread out. I don't know how many actually work in City Hall offices or in, I don't know if Scott has anybody in the Department of Health. I don't know how far it breaks down, but I know there are people that are being utilized, so.
I might say my only concern would be is if we didn't allow them to have a shot at it, you know?
Well, that's what I said, is if there was a specific skill
If we had
set.
a long list, I'd say, well, you know, I wouldn't want to jump into this one, but if there's not a long list, I'd say, well.
I couldn't answer that. I don't think there is, but I
How do
can't
they
say for sure.
enroll in your program? Do they have to fit certain criteria, and do they have to have a certain amount of taxes due or something?
Yeah, it has to be a certain income,
Yeah.
and they fill out paperwork, they fill out a volunteer
apply
intake
every year.
form. Yeah, they apply every year.
And the purpose of it is for them to work off their property taxes?
Correct.
A portion.
Yeah.
Portion.
Right.
Joe?
I mean, like I was just saying, and I didn't mean to cut Phil off, but if a department is looking for a specific skill set from somebody and has the ability to train them, I can see how this could work to the city's advantage, as well as the SAFE program, and I think that, you know, both could work, you know, together to try to foster, you know, employment for people over 55, but maybe not somebody as, let's see, how do I say this properly, as advanced as years as some of the people are from the SAVE program, you know, so, you know, this is a training program. This is, from what I got, is a training program to help people step back up into the workforce, and that program is more of just something to give people something to do with volunteer time, keep them busy, and also, while they're doing that, you know, see how the city government works, and then also get a break on their property taxes, so.
So probably this has more of a formality, if you will, because in their individual employment plan that they do between our staff member and the participant, they highlight, you know, the skills that they have and what they would like to learn. So it's not just picking things out of the sky and gee, I'll answer phones. It's not something like that. It's a bona fide goal to use skills, gain skills to really become ultimately employed. So it's a pretty formal process.
Steve, have any questions?
No, thank you.
Anyone else have any questions?
Want a motion?
I'll entertain a motion.
All right, I'll make a motion that the city of Danbury enter into an agreement with Maturity Works, no cost, senior work program.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Do I get a second?
Oh, I'm sorry, need a second.
That's why I was just.
A second.
Yeah, second.
Second.
Yeah.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you for your time.
Okay, I'm going to call to order the regular meeting for the zoning commission. Today is Tuesday, March 13th, 2012. Commissioner Estefan? Here. Commissioner Haddad? Here. Commissioner Hu? Here. Commissioner Jowdy? Here. Commissioner Kelly? Here. Okay, for the record, Commissioner Kovacs can't make it. That's short tape.
No, it's not me. It's feedback. So,
Commissioner Kovacs can't make it this evening for family obligations. Commissioner Loyola.
here.
Commissioner Tierney is currently absent. Alternate Commissioner Haas. Here. Alternate Commissioner Orovets.
Here.
And alternate Commissioner Palma is also not here for family reasons, and I am Commissioner Loyola. Let's stand for the pledge, and Commissioner Haddad, will you lead us?
Yes, sir, I will. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we need to postpone the acceptance of the minutes from the February 28th meeting as they're still being finalized. Our first and really only order of business this evening is a public hearing. This is the petition of the City of Danbury by Dennis I. Elprin, Planning Director, to amend sections 4H2 of the zoning regulations. Commissioner Haddad, did you wish to be recognized?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to exit from the non-discussion.
And let the record reflect that Commissioner Haddad will be recusing himself from this petition. And let the record also reflect that I'm going to go ahead and seek alternate Commissioner Haas for Commissioner Kovacs and alternate Commissioner Orovets for Commissioner Tierney. Oh, that's right. I was thinking who else was I missing? That was kind of intended as being present.
It's confusing.
Yes.
What? Somebody's going to be present?
No, when I was thinking of how many voting members there are. Okay, just, Mr. Estefan, would you read the legal notice?
Notice is hereby given that the zoning commission of the city of Danbury will hold a public hearing commencing at 7:30 p.m. on March 13, 2012, in the council chambers in the third floor at City Hall, 155 Deer Hill Avenue, to consider the following matter. Petition of the city of Danbury by Dennis I. Elprin, Planning Director, to amend section 4H2 of the zoning regulations, amend P&D regulations. Parties in interest and citizens shall have an opportunity to be heard at this time. Robert C. Malillo, Chairman.
And we also have a staff report and a planning commission recommendation to read, as well as an addendum to the staff report. So, I'll start off, the City of Danbury Planning and Zoning Department dated March 5th, 2012, to City of Danbury Planning Commission, City of Danbury Zoning Commission from Dennis I. Elprin, Planning Director, regarding the proposed zoning amendment, planned neighborhood development, section 4H2B3. We have submitted an amendment to sections 4H2B3 of the zoning regulations regarding uses permitted in the planned neighborhood development, the P&D zoning district. When the master plan for the reserve was approved, it divided the 545-acre site into 11 phases. Phase 3, a 13.1 acre site. Phase 3, a 13.1-acre site along Old Ridgeberry Road, was subsequently deeded to the City of Danbury. The problem is that the plan which designates uses permitted in each of the other 10 phases designated Phase 3 as municipal. This suggests ownership, not use. Section 4H2 of the zoning regulations does not specify what uses are permitted on land designated as municipal. The city now wishes to sell the land to a private developer. Projected revenue for the sale, $3.1 million, was entered into the approved fiscal year 11-12 budget last year. The responsibility before us is to amend the regulations to clarify uses acceptable for Phase 3. The proposed language is as follows. Notwithstanding Section 4H2B1 above, all lands designated as municipal in the initial master plan land use plan dated November 26, 2002 shall, upon conveyance to the City of Danbury and or subsequent sale to a third party, remain part of the P&D and its master plan and may be used for municipal uses, example public works and public facilities. Multifamily residential uses are specified in sections 4H2B3A above, including mixed residential commercial uses and uses allowed in the CA 80 zoning district. From our perspective, the decision to sell this parcel to a private developer was resolved last year with the approval of the fiscal year 11-12 budget. Our task then is not to revisit that decision of City Council, but rather to ensure that the land has value to a private purchaser and can be developed after its sale. In that regard, we ask for your support of this amendment. And then dated March 8th, 2012, we have the Planning Commission recommendation to Robert Singalulu, Chairman, Danbury Zoning Commission, from Arnold Lee Finaldi Jr., Chairman, Danbury Planning Commission, referencing 8-3A referral petition to the City of Danbury by Dennis I. Elkman, Planning Director, to amend Sections 4H2 of the zoning regulations and amend P&D regulations. At the regular meeting held on March 7th, 2012, the City of Danbury Planning Commission voted to give the above reference petition a positive recommendation for the following reason. This amendment will clarify the term municipal by defining the uses permitted. The motion to give a positive recommendation was made by Mr. Rice, seconded by Mr. Seminara, and passed unanimously. Also this evening, I believe everybody received a copy of a revised staff report from Mr. Elkner. I'm going to read that into the record as well. This is dated March 13th, 2012, to the City of Danbury Zoning Commission, from Dennis I. Elkman, Planning Director, referencing the proposed zoning amendment, Planned Neighborhood Development, Section 4H2B3. As you know, the Zoning Commission has received a petition from our office to amend Section 4H2B3 of the zoning regulations regarding uses permitted in the Planned Neighborhood Development Zoning District. Our memorandum dated March 5th, 2012 discusses the reasoning behind the proposed amendment. We would recommend that a small change to the proposed amendment be made by the Commission for purposes of clarity. The addition is underlined as follows. Section 4, notwithstanding Section 4H2B1 above, all lands designated as municipal in the initial master plan land use plan dated November 26, 2002 shall, upon conveyance to the City of Danbury and or subsequent sale to a third party, remain part of the P&D and its master plan and may be used at the discretion of the city for municipal uses, example public parks and public facilities. Multifamily residential uses as specified in sections 4H2B3A above, including mixed residential commercial uses and uses allowed in the CA80 zoning district. This small change clarifies that the city has the final say over the type and extent of development on parcel 3 if sold to a third party. Please act upon this revised language as part of an approval for the petition. The reason why the petition should be approved is to ensure that the permitted uses of land in all phases of the P&D are clearly specified. With that, I will, is there anybody here wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Mr. Elkman?
Yes, thank you. I won't repeat all that was read and written by our office prior.
One second, sir. We need to get your microphone on you.
Me.
Yes. And with that, I'll also remind all commissioners that we are being broadcast live this evening, so if you could please make sure you turn your microphones on if you have any questions.
Okay. I won't repeat what was just written, which I think spelled out the reasoning for the amendment that's there before you. All I do wish to do is to remind you that at their last city council meeting, members of city council voted to declare the 13 acres on Ridgebury Road as surplus land and authorize the sale of the land for suitable limited use development. And all this does is spell out the kinds of uses that are.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Elkman? Commissioner Kelly?
Could you define the uses as permitted by the council's
They did not specify. Specific uses. That's what we're doing.
Additional questions for Mr.
Question. So it limits the use on if it's sold. What about any subsequent sales? If it's sold again or again over the years, it still falls under, still is.
Unless you want to, sometime in the future,
I can piggyback on that. I believe that was the purpose for the addition at the discretion of the city, so that the city would retain.
Yes. What it does, it gives the city a broad list of uses upon which the land could be developed, and it also maintains the control of that development in the hands of the city.
And the statement at the discretion of the city, whose discretion is the?
But the city will be in the deed of sale. That's where it will be spelled out, and what it will be used for.
Paul Foley, the developer, who was bidding on this land, made a comment. The people who live in Riverton won't have to drive to Mill Plain Road, Foley said Wednesday at the busy strip road. The people who live in Riverton won't have to drive down to Mill Plain Road. Well, we know Mill Plain Road does not have any theater, and does not have any theater space. So we're talking about competing with Mill Plain Road?
Only in terms of commercial development.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Additional questions, Mr. Alpern? First, for clarification purposes, Mr. Alpern, that would be a limited commercial use, right? We're not talking, it's not the CG20, it's limited. Yes, it's limited.
The uses that are within there.
Yes, which is similar to Mill Plain Road, not just in large scale.
It is not similar to Mill Plain Road. The CAA design is the housing component. What people were concerned about at the hearing was that they didn't want to see someone come in with just another condo project. It's not what they wanted, they wanted an exchange development. And that's what the amendment does. It gives the city the power to say yes or no. Before, or as part of the sale. Not to sell the land and they say, oh, that's not what we had funded.
Additional questions for Mr. Alpern? Mr. Jowney?
What was the intent of the city, to buy the land, to protect it, and then do, have the right to do what they want with it?
The land was given to the city.
Given to the city.
I was not part of that deal. But we received it, and the city has always looked for developing in one fashion, form of fashion. First, we looked at a minor league baseball team. I was on that committee and studied that. Learned a lot about the business of baseball. Also learned that the business of baseball is not as much fun as the game of baseball. It's business. That fell through. Then we had a proposal to develop some kind of a sports complex. That fell through. And now we have this proposal.
So, Mr. Alpern, this parcel of land was always in the phase planning to be developed for one use or another. In fact, even I think a couple of years ago, there was discussion of lease, which also would have required a similar amendment, correct?
Yes.
So it's still...
Yeah, because this master plan, which I'm quick to add on here, it's designated that as municipal. And that's confusing. What does municipal mean? Does it mean ownership? Or does it mean only municipal uses? I'm waiting for the answer to that question, and that's why I'm trying to clarify.
Additional question?
Because I'm looking at it strictly from a zoning perspective and within your authority.
Additional questions for Mr. Alpern? Okay, thank you, Mr. Alpern. Is there anybody else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Anybody else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Anybody else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Anybody against this petition? Anybody in opposition to this petition? Anybody in opposition to this petition? Mr. Alpern, do you have any final rebuttal comments to the huge opposition that we had this evening?
I choose not to rebut my previous comments.
Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to either close or to continue the public hearing. A motion by Commissioner Kelly to close the public hearing, seconded by Commissioner Estefan. Discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is closed. Do we wish to act on this evening by moving this to item number 1 under old business? I see Commissioner Hu nodding his head, so Commissioner Hu's making a motion to move this to item number 1 under old business, seconded by Commissioner Estefan. Discussion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay. For the record, the next item on the agenda was the continuation of the public hearing for Expect Discount 1 Town Road, lot number M11002 for a special permit for the sale of grocery beer. We did receive a request from the attorney of record regarding this petition, asking us to continue or to postpone the continuance until the next meeting because he had a speaker that he had lined up that was unable to make it this evening. So with that, I'll just entertain a motion to table the public hearing. Expect Discount. Seconded by Commissioner Kelly. This is the public hearing. This is not you. Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item number 1 under old business is the petition of the City of Danbury by Dennis I. Alpern, Planning Director, to amend sections 4H2 of the zoning regulations. Do we have a motion to approve or to deny or to this petition?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the petition.
And we have a motion by Commissioner Hu to approve the petition, and Commissioner Hu, do you have a reason?
I tried to give you a reason.
Reference the reasons in the petition?
I support Mr. Hopkins' defense that the petition should be approved to ensure that the permitted use of the land is clearly specified and restricted to the city.
Motion made by Commissioner Hu, seconded by Commissioner Estefan. Discussion? All those, okay. A yes vote will be, will approve the petition, and no vote will not approve it. Commissioner Hu?
Yes.
Commissioner Estefan?
Yes.
Commissioner Jowdy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Loyola?
Yes.
Commissioner Haas?
Yes.
Commissioner Oravets?
Yes.
And I too will vote yes. 8-0 with 1 not voting. Let the record reflect that Commissioner Haddad is joining us on the dais. We have under new business the petition of JD Enterprises doing business as Midtown Cafe. This is 172 White Street, lot number J13002, for a special permit for restaurant beer and wine. The public hearing is scheduled for April 10th, 2012. Under other matters in correspondence, we have the code enforcement case summary for January 1st, 2012 through February 29th, 2012. This is just a regular report that we receive periodically. And we also have attached to the material that was emailed out the cease and desist order for Angel A. and Guaman Wispa Florencia, 46 Hackham Street Extension, lot number G13050, R3 zone, an illegal third dwelling unit and non-permitted finished basement, permitted use of structure as a 2-family dwelling. That cease and desist was issued March 7th, 2012, and this was included so that you could see a cease and desist order and also get confirmation that our zoning laws and rules are being enforced.
After they deal with them a few times, that's the first step.
Okay, so do we have any questions regarding either of those documents which were sent out? Do we have anything else under other matters? There's nothing for reference only, so with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Made by Commissioner Estefan, seconded by Commissioner Jowdy. Discussion? All those in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We're adjourned.